Welcome to Travel Insights, powered by the leading travel and tourism daily news portal, traveldailynews.com International Edition, in a special episode today where we turn 24 years old. Congratulations, traveldailynews.com. And of course, don't forget traveldailynews.asia for Asia Pacific insights. And of course, traveldailynews.gr for Greece and Cyprus news and updates. We are streaming live on our website as well as on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. Thank you for tuning in and listening wherever you're watching us from. This is Travel Insights, and I'm Chryssa Skodra. In this interview series, I have the chance to sit down and talk to influential thought leaders, professionals, academics, and experts in the travel, tourism, hospitality industries. And those inspiring people share their own unique insights with us, with me and you out there tuning in and listening. Today, I have the great pleasure to welcome in the studio. Let me just add her here, Mrs. Susanne Andersson, all the way from Sweden. Hello, Susanne.
Hello, Chris, and congratulations on your birthday today, all of you. 24 years, that's impressive.
Yes, it has graduated from university already and entering the working life, the news portal. So big girl already. So thank you for your wishes. Congratulations to you also. You've been working now for Visit Sweden as the CEO for a little bit more than a year. Is that right?
Yes, I've been in the work for a year, and before that, I was also for a year just making sure that the company was working out. So I'm happy to be here for 2 years now, but as an acting CEO of the last year.
Great. So you are the CEO of the state-owned marketing company Visit Sweden, our good neighbors here, as I'm based in Finland. And today's topic, you're a great person to analyze today's topic. You know the topic inside out. You have held different positions, leading positions in the Swedish hospitality industry. So today we are looking at the topic Visit Sweden and your strategic priorities leading the way through conscious travel. So I would like you to open this topic for our viewers. I would like to look at the national strategy first of all for tourism and in Sweden. As you are a state-owned company, I believe you have to adhere to the national strategic objectives. So what is the national priorities for tourism in Sweden, and then in turn what is Visit Sweden as the marketing company? So what is your efforts in tie with those strategic and policy objectives?
Yes, of course. Sweden has a tourism strategy, and of course, it's linked to the Agenda 2030 and the Global Sustainability Development Goals, the government's gender equality goals, and also the Swedish climate policy goals and other parliamentary goals that they have. And the vision is that by 2030, Sweden is the world's most sustainable and attractive destination based on innovation. And the strategy also includes the parliamentary tourism policy goals, which says that Sweden offers sustainable tourism with sustainable traveling and sustainable, competitive, and growing tourism industry that contributes to employment and attractive sites for visitor, residents, companies, investments throughout the country.
Mhm.
So they based it on four horizontal perspective, which is sustainability, digitalization, place development, and collaboration. But looking at the parts where Visit Sweden is that the prioritized strategy areas are five, and in one
Mhm.
of those you have the marketing, and the marketing part is of course ours, but also the knowledge part and innovation part where we also work, and then you have the accessibility, jobs and skills, simplified entrepreneurship. So I think it's good that you have a strategy, and it's a 10 years perspective on the strategy. So our part is looking at it through the marketing, but also looking at it as trying to make sure that the travelers coming to Sweden are looking at sustainability from all three parts.
Hmm. We had a chat prior, and you spoke about the how the role of Visit Sweden has changed over the years. Um, would you could you touch upon how the role has changed? Uh, Perhaps also during the pandemic years. I know that many organizations have faced similar issues, or rebranding or rethinking about the way to do things. So what has been the situation for Visit Sweden before, and what is the current situation? How do you see the future towards your achieving those goals?
I think one of the most important things to discuss also in before you begin is that the travel industry and the tourism industry is one of the industries that actually can adapt to something as the pandemic. It's quite uh, impressive that the industry can adapt so fast as they can. But as a company, we actually has been operational business in this way for 120 years, but the ownership has looked different throughout the years. And the ownership just changed 2.5 years ago when we turned 100% state
Mhm.
owned. So, of course, it changes a little bit how we have to look upon our mission, and it's mostly the difference is that we now have to look a little bit more about the whole of the country, instead of making sure that we can make business together with different regions. And so that's the huge part. But the methods, technology, target groups, financial situation, operation, this has of course developed greatly. And I think that through digitalization and everything, we are stronger, better, wiser than ever today. But I think one of the biggest part that you had to think about during the pandemic was that, and I know that we did it and other countries may not have done it, but we kept on marketing our destination, because we thought about that it would be good to be on the markets even though you couldn't travel. But we did it with the travel way of saying that welcome when the time is right.
Mhm. Yes, and I remember that. And I wanted to ask you about the. Let me close this now. We've seen a video in the background playing about with some specific imagery from Sweden. I would like to ask you, what is in your analysis the image that travelers, international travelers, have of Sweden? Sweden is known for many things, the pristine nature, the midnight sun, the music export, the innovation. There's a lot of things. Is it something specific from your national identity, and how you want to be perceived, and what kind of national image you want to give forward to what you want to be further known for? You touched upon the conscious travel, which is today's episode and discussion. What is the brand identity versus the brand image? What elements you focus on?
Well, I think for a starter, of course, the country you're coming from is very good at what they're doing, and they have a lot the same things in the Nordic countries. But what we are trying to focus extra on in Sweden is that on the surface we are the largest country. We have also different in range. We have both the beautiful nature, the progressive lifestyle, cool
Largest
design.
country, you mean in this northern Europe, and in the north, within the amongst the northern countries, right?
Yes, of
Yeah.
course. We have a lot of the same, and I think one of the what we have to look at in Sweden compared to Norway, Denmark, Finland is what do we have extra.
Mm.
Looking at the long haul markets, they actually maybe not thinking that we are that different, but so as a brand, we usually work together on the long haul markets to make sure that people come to the Nordic
Mhm,
countries, and then
mhm,
the Nordic countries have to try to make them come to the different places. And of course, Finland is really good with Santa Claus, Norway is really good with the
mhm.
nature, and therefore we have to look into what is that we have that we are really really
To
good at. And I think
attract, right. Uh,
yeah,
mhm. And exactly, you touched upon this, so I think it's a good follow-up question to sort of get your insights on those. What differentiates Sweden exactly amongst its neighbors? So yes, dig deeper into that, and how your brand image and sort of the unique selling proposition come hand in hand.
Well, I think for a starter, it all depends on what the market groups are and the target groups. And on the long haul, I see that a lot of the long haul destinations actually believe that the Nordics are kind of the same. So we have to dig a little bit deeper. In our way, we are trying to do it through the Conscious Travels as a new brand for Sweden, and also the perfect destination for a little bit more slow travel. But we do have a diversity of many things in Sweden. We have the nature, which could be quite close to the Norwegian nature, but also quite close to the Danish nature with the sandbanks and with the high steep mountains. And it's a difference. So what we have to do is kind of tend to show that we have plenty of everything, but mostly what we see in our target group looking into it's the lifestyle that attracts people to come to Sweden. So the social part of the sustainability is it's quite big and quite interesting for our travelers. So that's the reason why we're trying to build on that a little bit more, also with the conscious travel as a new brand for Sweden, and making sure that people bring something with them when they leave Sweden as well, with new knowledge about how to work with sustainability in a better way together.
Mm-hmm. And Susanne, you spoke about the long haul, but how about general? What are the major markets you're focusing on, and where do you want to attract, or what do you see the current numbers are? So if you tell us a little bit about the visitors you're already attracting, and what are your estimates or wishes of which markets you want to appeal to.
Like most visit companies, I would say that we probably would like to work on a lot more markets, but it's all about the budget. But the focus markets for Sweden right now are on the long haul markets. It's China, it's US, and it's India. And if we look on the shorter markets closer home, of course, we have the really near markets like Norway, Denmark, Finland, but we also work with UK, France, Germany, and the Netherlands. So I think, and looking at those markets, of course, Norway is the biggest market, and after that is Germany, and then we have Denmark, and Netherlands is coming really fast as a huge market for us, but also the US is a big market. The numbers for Sweden usually is for the guest nights, it's 75% Swedish guest nights and 25% international guest nights. Of course, that was before the pandemic. We are not quite back, but Sweden as a country did go back to the guest nights in total over 2019 now in 2022. So that was really good.
Mm-hmm. And do you have now any? I mean, just appear here on this stream. So, do you have now any changes in those numbers due to the Ukrainian-Russian conflict and the ongoing war? Have you seen any changes affecting your inbound tourism?
Well, if you start by looking at the Russian market as a market or the Ukrainian market as a market, we didn't have that much Russians or Ukrainians
Mm.
before the conflict, so that has not affected us in so much. Looking at another part of it, because the pandemic hasn't opened up the eastern of like China, so that market didn't travel anyway.
Mm.
But of course, it was a problem, or is a problem, that you can't fly over the Russian
Mm.
territory. So that is, of course, one aspect. But I think the last aspect is the one that I think that we should think about a lot more together, and it's the aspect of the safety questions. And I mean, of course, both for Finland and Sweden, who are looking at going into NATO, and what will happen with the Russian markets after that. So I think there's many questions about the conflict that is, and of course with the Ukrainian people, it's a huge problem with this conflict.
Mhm. How about if we look now at Sweden as a travel destination? Do you focus on specific destinations or regions, or what is your way of looking at the destination more holistic? Are you focusing on specific cities and decision making and way of doing your marketing efforts?
Well, that's it. That is actually one of the hugest differences in the company, since being 100% state governmentally owned, is that we do have to focus on the whole of Sweden as more of the image part of making sure that people come to Sweden. Then in Sweden, you have 21 regions and you have 219 uh, oh, Jesus, it's so hard to say, the
Mm.
municipalities that are working on trying to get them to come to just their destination. So our goal, or main goal, is to look at more of the image part and the holistic part of Sweden as a whole. And of course, never forget that the Nordic countries are quite small out in the big world.
Mm. And how about the professionals, the tourism industry professionals? How you're working with those, with the whole, with all the stakeholders in the ecosystem in order to help them get a better understanding of what Sweden has to offer, what's unique, and how do they, in turn, those professionals and tourism professionals attract people and bring people to visit Sweden, to invest in Sweden, to do business with a Swedish company. So, how do you work with the professionals, for all those out there, tourism and travel professionals who are listening? How do you go about? What's your
Well,
cooperation like?
it's a little bit, yeah, it's a little bit different in different questions, but I think mostly as in it's the system looks a little bit different in all our countries. Like in Finland, you have Visit Finland and Innovation Finland
Mhm.
together. Also in Norway, you have that. In Sweden, we don't. We have Business Sweden by itself and Visit Sweden by itself. So the tourism part is where we are working, and there we're trying to look at the international and professionals working with the with the travel arrangements and so forth that way. Looking into other parts of the economic development, it's more the Business Sweden point of view.
Yeah.
But we do work together with them when it's big companies that want to make investments in Sweden. Like now we had a huge good yesterday, or I think it will be in a couple of days
I was thinking
after
more
this.
about the business, the travel, the trade travel professionals, and also
Yeah,
hotel investments. So if you can touch upon this, please, it would be
yeah.
interesting to
In
get
the
your
travel,
insight.
that's what I'm going to say. In the travel trade, they will work with us. If you're looking into investment part, that would be more a Business Sweden kind of question in this. But we sometimes do work together with Business Sweden in that we had a discussion with a company from South Korea that was going to invest in the north of Sweden, and of course we are coming with them to discuss those, and also giving our insights and everything we have on the markets in
Exactly.
those countries.
So you have to work hand
So
in
what?
hand.
Yes, we do have to work hand in hand, and we have the knowledge about the target groups that
Mm.
they don't have,
Mhm.
and they have the knowledge about the what it would be good for the businesses. So it's always about working together as a country and trying to get the investments to work out, but also for the investors to make sure that they feel that we are giving them the right direction towards should they actually do come to Sweden or should they go somewhere else.
Mhm. And do you mentioned about the Korean hotel investment? You've been participating in some talks already earlier this week. How about other tourist hotel investments, or in general tourist investments? Do you have any insights to give us on what's developing, what's new coming? I've seen a very interesting article also on visitsweden.com. So for more information, you out there tuning in and listening, check out visitsweden.com, and of course the corporate website. So here it is, corporate.visitsweden.com. So tell us a little bit about the investments in tourism industry in general in Sweden. Anything trendy hotels coming, inspiring concepts coming. What's new?
Well, I just heard very shortly that Utopia, which is a huge glamping and camping site, are building up in Härnösand on Smitingen, which is a very nice way of seeing it. They're looking in on nature the same way as we do in Sweden. So it's a good environmental part. But I think also the big chains that we have in Sweden, like Scandic, Choice, they're also looking into building more and making sure. And I think one of the part is that we want Sweden to be working all year round, so not just traveling to those 4 weeks of vacation during the summer, but you have to have a chance to travel in Sweden all year round, and that makes the sustainability part. And then looking into the green transition in the northern of Sweden, that of course will make huge changes also for the tourism. If people would like to move up there to work there, of course they're having some spouse with them, so their husband or their wife has to work somewhere else, and they also have to go out and eat something, and they have to go, their kids want to do something on their free time, and also their family want to visit. So I think there we will probably see a lot more investment towards this green transition in the few coming months or the few coming years. So I think it's going to be very interesting for people looking at this, to look in on the Swedish market and what is happening right now with the green transition, of course, in the whole country, but also in the north as specific.
Great. How about Susanne? Any insights you would like to share now for closure? Something that you absolutely want to mention that we haven't touched upon? Are some other trends in your mind, or some other perhaps yeah, what we discussed, and I think perhaps it would be valuable for our listeners, the big events perhaps you having taking place in shortly in Sweden. Perhaps those could attract some people to that think them as a great opportunity and a once in a lifetime opportunity to visit Sweden. What would you like to say for closure about your destination?
Well, I think I can close off with something from our destination as a destination, but also don't remember all the consumer trends that has happened towards the pandemic and what has changed a lot about the safe travels, for example, the holistic site, the authenticity seekers. So for the people working with the travel industry out there, make sure to look into the trends to make sure that you are looking at what the consumer wants. But if you should visit Sweden sometime, this year is the year to visit Sweden. It's the year when Sweden is celebrating 500 years as a modern democratic nation.
Hmm.
It's also the year when the king are celebrating 50 years on the throne. The city of Gothenburg is celebrating 400 years as a city. And it's also Stockholm is being the capital city of gastronomy. So this year there's happening so many things. So if there's some time you should go travel and visit us, it's
The
this year.
time is now. The time is now.
The time
Visit
is now.
Sweden, and of course, visit sweden.com for more information. I would like to thank Susanne Andersson, the CEO of Visit Sweden, a busy professional. Thank you, Susanne, for giving your time to talk to us at Travel Daily News and Travel Insights. Have a nice rest of the day, and I hope to see you in Sweden, which is one of my favorite destinations anyway.
Well, that's so nice of you, Chryssa. And I love your destination where you're seated in Finland is one of my favorite destinations. So thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you so much. That was Susanne Andersson, all the way from Sweden. That was another episode of Travel Insights coming to its end. Thank you for tuning in and listening. For the latest news in the travel and tourism industry, check out traveldailynews.com. As I mentioned in the beginning, 24-year anniversary of our news portal, leading news portal for the travel professionals and everybody interested in tourism and travel news worldwide. Stay tuned every Wednesday for another episode of Travel Insights, where interesting, inspiring thought leaders share their unique insights about topics that they're close to their hearts and top of their minds. If you have any interesting story to share with me, don't forget to contact me at press@traveldailynews.com. Me or my colleagues, I'll reach out to you, and perhaps we have a live interview to give you a chance to share more of your insights about your topic. So, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Bye.